Welcome back to Afternoon Live. Our next guest's new project explores a father's 40-year secret and the painful turmoil that broke the family he left behind in the docuseries Selling Superman.
My father got the first solo issue of Superman from 1939. It was locked away for decades. We found out that was the second nicest copy of that book on the planet. That book could easily go for $3 to $4 million. My father had Asperger's, but not knowing it caused a lot of friction. It seems like ultimate fixation and hoarding. He kept collecting and needed more space and more space and more space.
You have no idea how oppressive he can be.
He was constantly neurotic about the security of the collection. We have each of them humidity controlled, climate controlled, multiple layers of security. He would have thought that was cool.
I'm sure his father loved him, but I don't know if Darren truly felt it.
He made life livable, but not worth living. I divorced. I said, I don't want any part of them.
If I wasn't around, there would be a big dumpster outside and she would just throw them in. Actually, she'd recycle.
We welcome the director of Selling Superman, Adam Schomer. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Nice to be here.
I've gotten to watch part one of this four-part series, and I am so hooked. I can't wait to see the rest.
Ooh, what hooked you? What got you?
Everything. Yeah. And I have no real interest in comic books, but the story is so fascinating. Anyone can really connect to it.
Yeah, there's an access point for anyone because, you know, we have families, right? We all have fathers and we have family conditioning. Yeah,
Tell me about your personal connection. You know the main character here, Darren, from childhood.
Yeah, from high school. We played soccer together in high school. I'm a couple years older, and then years later, he gives me a call and says, you didn't know this about me, because we didn't. You know, none of us in soccer knew his father, A, had Asperger's, or that his father was collecting comic books. It really was totally a secret.
Right.
But he said, hey, you think this would be interesting to film? And I said, let's take a look. I'll come out.
And in the process, uncover, what, 300,000 comic books? I mean, individual copies.
Individual copies, yeah. 300,000 comic books, 1 million collectibles. Wow. So there's baseball cards, there's Star Wars toys, different UFO books, etc. Yeah, but 300,000 comic books is a lot, but they could be garbage, but in this case, they're impeccably pure, high grades, and so it's really quite a collection. Yeah.
When it's such a difficult sort of situation for this family to be left with after the father passes away, that these were obviously his prized possessions, but he didn't share them with anyone.
Yeah,
so then what do you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know Darren always wanted to share with us. He asked his father, can we read these books? Can we go through the books? So it's a pain point. But Darren wanted to rewrite the story and say, let's get these in the hands of people that love the books. Let's make it a buddy-buddy adventure. He goes through it with some of his good buddies, like a treasure hunt.
What was the family's awareness even growing up, that they knew that there was a collection, they knew that there were off-limits parts of the household, but they really didn't know the value of all of this and how much there was even? No,
they did not know the value. So that's part of the fun of opening it up and seeing what's in there.
Yeah.
They just knew it was taking up a basement, two rooms there, the garage, a safe deposit box, storage units. So it's taking over the home, which was upsetting for Darren's mom, of course, and having people over. But no, they didn't know exactly what was in there. They knew he loved Superman, and I believe he knew that copy existed, but they didn't know to what level, the grade or anything. So value-wise, no, they didn't know.
Because come to find out, there is an extremely valuable copy of Superman, the first appearance of Superman in his own book. That's possibly a multi-million-dollar copy.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
And it is unbelievable that they cost that much, right?
Right.
Yeah, 3 million, 4 million, who knows? When there's a story around it, people tend to want to pay more. There's a movie around it, that can increase the value.
Sure.
This happens, yeah.
When we see glimpses, as I'm excited to watch the rest of the series, that Darren has reached out to you initially to begin this project, but then there's another turmoil of all of the attention that it brings, and as people start to learn about the collection, that becomes really tough for him to manage too.
Yeah, not a spoiler for anyone. The series does start off with him going through that angst and wanting to not be involved to stop the movie in some ways, and it's getting too much, the press. So, you know, what happens, again, without spoiling, is that he's going through a process of mourning his father and coming to terms with all these shadows, and you have a camera on you. And it speeds up the process, and you're putting yourself out there, and you're like, what am I revealing? Why am I showing the world how messed up I am, is what he says. Why am I doing that? And you know, hopefully he realizes so we can all reflect on ourselves too, and our conditioning and self-value and stress and anxiety. So I think he's very courageous for doing it,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of ups and downs, and there was a lot
For
of I don't
sure.
want to do this anymore, and there was a lot, as you'll see in episode 3 and 4, a lot of what do you call them, trolls on the internet, people
Oh,
coming,
gosh.
yeah, people coming after him
Yeah.
saying like you're not a good person. It was
Of course.
tough to see, really
Sure.
tough to see.
Well, tell us about what we have on the table here.
Sure.
These are some special pieces from the collection, correct?
Yeah, a couple pieces. We're actually going to give these books away at the Portland premiere on Wednesday
Amazing.
night, which is cool, so to the comic lovers that come. So this is what a book looks like when it's graded.
Okay.
So you go from something you can actually read
Right.
to now it's in a case. Now it helps with the value because we all know what grade it is, what level it is, right, of cleanliness. But now you can't read it, but it helps with the commodity-driven part of it,
Right.
and the trading of it. It's not my favorite thing. I'd rather see the stories.
Right.
But just a lot of people probably haven't seen a graded book before, and that's what happens.
It's so fascinating. Well, and then maybe if you have one of these, there's a nostalgia attached to it. If you can remember the story or just seeing it on your wall is something to connect to. And I know we have a very healthy comic book lover community here in Portland, so I'm sure a lot of people will be fascinated with this story.
Absolutely, and probably a lot of people that are into the raw books, like the purists that, I like to smell it and open it. At one point, we do crack one of these cases open,
Okay.
and so that we can smell it and look at the original.
That is super exciting. Well, we're excited that you're here in town for the world premiere, correct?
Yeah, world premiere. I mean, it's
gonna
comic
be
book
so
town.
fun.
Portland's
I know.
a great place.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by.
My pleasure.
Want to let everyone know there is that screening of all 4 episodes of Selling Superman. It's Wednesday night at 6:30 at Cinema 21, followed by a Q&A with Adam, and we'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.